Finally, for us here on the Town Hall this evening, we want to take a look at how inflation and the overall economy could impact the upcoming holiday season. We'll talk about gift shopping and travel in just a minute. First, though, food prices ahead of Thanksgiving. So turkey prices, believe it or not, have climbed nearly 13% over the past year. Shortages aren't predicted this Thanksgiving, but if you want a decent deal, experts say that you're going to want to do some pre-planning.
There's been a bird flu, and also just inflation in general has raised prices. That doesn't mean there won't be turkeys for everyone, but if you want to get a good deal, you're going to have to be more vigilant.
That's Consumer Reports senior editor Toby Stanger. She says that you can gobble up some savings now by buying in bulk, and you're also going to notice when there are sales for things like canned goods or even foods that you can freeze. You should buy them then.
It's not too early to buy the goods that are not going to be perishable. So the box stuffing, the cranberry sauce, all of that is, if it's available and you're noticing that it's going down in price, that's something to look at.
Some other cost-cutting tips: shop store brands, pay attention to unit pricing, and also consider using a credit card with cash back rewards on groceries. Some of them offer 5% cash back or more. So let's talk about what to expect now with Jack Ampuja, who joins us live. He is Executive Director of the Supply Chain Center of Excellence at Niagara University. Jack, it's great to have you back on. I want to start there with Thanksgiving dinner. And what are the expectations right now in terms of how expensive food is going to be by the time we get to this important holiday? Are we still seeing the trends going up in terms of food costs?
They're certainly not going down. The transportation, particularly the domestic piece, continues to be very strong. So the cost of transporting things, and then the proteins, things like turkey mentioned by the Consumer Reporter, there's a lot of manual labor in processing turkeys. So they are not coming down anytime soon. If there's any silver lining in the cloud, it's the fact that the away from home foods, if somebody's going out, those prices will be not up quite as sharply as the retail sector. And I think it's because the chefs can make some substitutions that they can have a little bit more control over the cost of the meal. But things will be more expensive. Rough cut, maybe about $5 more for a whole turkey than it was a year ago, something like that.
Yeah, you talk about transportation costs. We found out today that OPEC is trimming back to try to get the cost of oil to go up. So that's not going to be good in terms of that. I do want to turn right now to another indicator of inflation and how it could affect us in terms of holiday travel. So there's this study that came out from Bankrate that found almost 80% of Americans who plan to travel this holiday season are changing their plans because of the rising costs. So they're doing things like shortening their trips, planning cheaper activities or cheaper places to stay, maybe driving instead of flying. Obviously, Jack, some of these trips are months away, but is there any indication about where travel costs are going right now between now and when it's going to get real busy?
I don't see any relief in the short-term horizon. I was just booking flights right before this call. I went to Washington, D.C. last week, round trip, and I didn't see a big difference in price from the last time I went there. I'm going to Minneapolis next week. That didn't seem that bad, but I also booked our Thanksgiving flight, and that was up very, very sharply over last year. The airlines know that there's a lot of demand for Thanksgiving and Christmas, so they're going to hold those prices up much higher than some of the things that would be booked around the holidays. So I don't see any particular relief coming on the holiday scene. That those are always very strong times for airlines, and they look to make a lot of money. So all those things you talked about, driving, for example, looking at the lower cost hotel, looking to cut costs, look at the day of the week that you fly, things like that. Most consumers are aware of those shortcuts, and this is the time of need that you need to put those things into play.
Finally, Jack, I've only got about a minute left, but believe it or not, some people are already, planning out their gift buying, even though we're two and a half months out from Christmas. The accountants at KPMG surveyed more than 1,000 people and found that they are actually planning to spend more per recipient this year, $250, up $25 from last year. I guess that's because things are more expensive. But as a result, 25% of them said they're going to buy for fewer people. The most common cuts are being made for people's parents, in-laws, friends, grandparents, and coworkers. We remember last year that stores really faced a crunch in actually trying to get things. We had all these supply chain issues. It's obviously causing people to change their habits.
Yeah. The good news is that you will not see those same kinds of shortages this year. The toy industry, for example, was caught very short last year. Inventories at all the major toy companies are up significantly, 30%, 25% versus last year. So toys will be in good stock. We've seen a lot of clothing discounted already because they overbought. So most of the things that people would be buying for the holiday season, I think you're going to find that they're going to be in very good supply. The prices might be higher. And the one thing I'll close with is the fact that we've seen, and it's too late to catch the holiday season, the price for bringing freight from the Asian countries to the United States is down significantly. For example, $20,000 a year ago for an ocean container from China to LA, about $2,500 right now. But that's not going to help the Christmas season. You will see an impact heading into the first quarter.
Such great insight as always. Jack Ampuja is Executive Director of the Supply Chain Center of Excellence at Niagara University. Have a great night, Jack. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael.